Commander Zethkar of the Galactic Council's Third Fleet stared at the tactical display with growing unease. The holographic projection showed a cluster of unknown vessels approaching the outer edge of Council space, their energy signatures unlike anything in the database. Analysis complete, Commander, reported his tactical officer, a spider-like arachne whose multiple eyes reflected the blue glow of her console. 27 vessels of unknown configuration. Hull composition appears to be some form of reinforced metal alloy we cannot identify. Their approach vector suggests they originated from the Sol system. Zethkar's scaled skin shifted from pale green to a darker shade, a sign of concern among his people. The Sol system had been quarantined for over 2 centuries after the first contact disaster. The species there, calling themselves humans, had been classified as a class. 12 Deathworld species after preliminary observations revealed their homeworld's extreme conditions and the violent nature of its inhabitants. Impossible, Zethkar muttered, his 4 arms working frantically across his command console. The quarantine beacons should have prevented any technological development. Our xenobiologists assured us that Deathworld species lack the cognitive capacity for advanced spaceflight. The communication officer, a crystalline being whose body chimed softly as she moved, turned toward the commander. Sir, we are receiving a transmission on standard galactic frequencies. Audio and visual components detected. How do they know our protocols? Zethkar demanded. Display the transmission. The main screen flickered, and, suddenly, they were looking at a bipedal creature with pale skin and dark hair. The being wore what appeared to be a military uniform, though the design was alien to Council standards. What struck Zethkar most was the creature's eyes. They held an intelligence that contradicted everything the Council believed about Deathworld species. Greetings, the human said in perfectly accented galactic standard. I am Admiral Sarachun of the United Earth Defense Force. We come seeking dialogue with the Galactic Council. We have been monitoring your communications for some time, and believe it is past time for formal first contact. The bridge fell silent. Monitoring their communications? The implications were staggering. Council encryption was supposedly unbreakable, developed by the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. This is Commander Zethkar of the Galactic Council Third Fleet. He replied after activating the communication array. Your species has been classified as pre-space flight and under protective quarantine. How did you develop faster than light travel? Admiral Chen smiled, and there was something predatory about the expression that made Zethkar's instincts scream danger. Commander, we appreciate your concern for our development, but we must respectfully disagree with your assessment. Humanity has been spacefaring for over 300 years. We have simply chosen to respect your quarantine until now. That is impossible, Zethkar protested. Our monitoring stations show no signs of advanced technology on your world. Your monitoring stations, Chen replied calmly, have been showing you exactly what we wanted you to see. We discovered your surveillance network within 50 years of its deployment. Rather than interfere with it, we decided to use it as a window into galactic politics while we prepared ourselves. The tactical officer's mandibles clicked nervously. Commander, I am detecting massive energy buildup from the human vessels. Their power output is extraordinary. Chen continued speaking. We have spent 2 centuries studying your species, your technologies, your conflicts, and your laws. We have learned your languages, understood your cultures, and prepared for this moment. We come not as supplicants seeking admission to your council, but as equals demanding recognition. Deathworld species do not possess the mental capacity for such advanced planning, Zethkar said. But even as he spoke the words, he realized how hollow they sounded. Perhaps, Chen said, her smile never wavering, your understanding of Deathworld species is fundamentally flawed. Tell me, Commander, what do you know about the concept of evolution through adversity? Before Zethkar could respond, his science officer called out in alarm. Sir, I am detecting multiple phase shift signatures approaching our position. The humans have somehow developed personal teleportation technology. The bridge lights dimmed as several shimmering forms materialized directly on the command deck. The ship's security systems should have prevented any unauthorized transport, but somehow these humans had bypassed every safeguard. 3 figures in strange armor stood calmly in the center of the bridge, weapons holstered but clearly visible. "Please remain calm," said the lead figure, removing their helmet to reveal a human female with short red hair. "I am Captain Martinez, Admiral Chin's security chief. We mean no harm, but we needed to demonstrate a point about your assumptions regarding our capabilities." Zethkar reached for his sidearm, but found his hand frozen halfway to the weapon, not by any visible force, but by the sudden realization that these humans had transported armed personnel directly onto his command bridge without triggering a single alarm. If they wanted him dead, he would be dead already. "How?" he whispered. Captain Martinez gestured to a device on her wrist. "Quantum entanglement manipulation. Your science officer would probably call it impossible, but that is because your species developed in relatively gentle environments. When your homeworld is actively trying to kill you every moment of every day, you learn to think creatively about survival. Our physicists calculated that personal teleportation would require energy sources equivalent to a small star," Zethkar said weakly. "Your physicists," Martinez replied, "never had to develop technology while dodging volcanic eruptions, ice ages, asteroid impacts, and global pandemics. Necessity, as we say, is the mother of invention." Admiral Chin's voice continued from the communication screen. "Commander, we have downloaded your ship's database regarding Council law and diplomatic protocols. We are formally requesting a meeting with the Council leadership to discuss humanity's admission as a full member species. We have prepared documentation regarding our technological capabilities, our colonial expansion throughout local space, and our military strength." "Military strength?" Zethkar croaked. "The 27 vessels you detected are merely our diplomatic escort," Chin explained. "Our main fleet consists of over 1,500 ships stationed throughout this sector. We have been quite busy during our quarantine period." The tactical officer looked up from her console, her multiple eyes wide with shock. "Commander, long-range sensors are detecting additional human vessels throughout the system. They appear to have been cloaked until now. I count over 300 ships within our immediate vicinity. We have also established permanent colonies on 17 worlds within Council space." Chun continued conversationally. "All uninhabited worlds, as per Council colonization laws. We have been careful to follow proper protocols despite not yet being official members." Zethkar felt his world shifting beneath his feet. Everything the Council believed about Deathworld species was wrong. Not just wrong, but catastrophically, dangerously wrong. These humans had been watching, learning, and preparing for centuries while the Council had dismissed them as primitive savages. "What do you want?" he asked. "What any civilized species wants," Chin replied. "Recognition, trade opportunities, cultural exchange, and a voice in galactic affairs. We have much to offer the Council, and we believe the Council has much to offer us." Captain Martinez stepped forward. "Commander, with your permission, we would like to escort your fleet to the nearest Council starbase where proper diplomatic protocols can be observed. Admiral Chun has prepared formal documents for presentation to the Council leadership. And if the Council refuses your request for membership?" Zethkar found himself asking. The smile faded from Chin's face, and for a moment, Zethkar saw something that made his blood run cold. "Commander, we have spent 200 years preparing for this moment. We have studied every Council member species, mapped every trade route, analyzed every military installation, and identified every strategic resource in this sector of the galaxy. We sincerely hope the Council will welcome us as friends and allies." The unspoken alternative hung in the air like a toxic cloud. "However," Chin continued, her smile returning, "we are confident that reasonable beings can reach a mutually beneficial agreement. After all, cooperation has always been humanity's preferred method of problem-solving." Martinez nodded to her companions, and they began to shimmer again. "We will return to our ships now, Commander. Please transmit your decision regarding our escort offer when you are ready." As the humans disappeared in the same impossible manner they had arrived, Zethkar slumped into his command chair. Around him, his crew stared at their instruments in shock and confusion. "Sir," his communication officer chimed softly, "what are your orders?" Zethkar looked at the tactical display showing hundreds of human vessels surrounding his small fleet, ships that had been invisible until the humans chose to reveal them. technology that shouldn't exist, a species that had outmaneuvered the entire Council for 2 centuries. Set course for Starbase Gamma 7, he said quietly, and send an immediate priority transmission to Council headquarters. Tell them that everything we know about Deathworld species is wrong, and that first contact with humanity is no longer a hypothetical scenario. As his ship changed course toward the starbase, escorted by vessels that represented technology beyond anything in the Council's arsenal, Zethkar couldn't shake the feeling that the galaxy was about to change in ways no one could predict. The age of human isolation was over. The question now was whether the galaxy was ready for what came next. Counselor Prime Veltar stood before the great assembly hall of the Galactic Council, her crystalline form refracting the soft lights into rainbow patterns across the chamber walls. The emergency session had been called after receiving Commander Zethkar's transmission, and representatives from 47 member species had gathered to discuss what many were calling the greatest crisis in Council history. The intelligence reports are confirmed, she announced, her voice resonating through the chamber's acoustic amplifiers. The species we classified as primitive Deathworlders have not only achieved faster-than-light travel, but have been operating undetected within Council space for over 2 centuries. A cacophony of sounds erupted from the assembled delegates. The Hiver Queen's clicking intensified to an angry staccato, while the ethereal collective's representative flickered between visible and invisible in agitation. Most disturbing was the silence from the Predator caste delegation. They sat perfectly still, which among their species indicated serious concern. Order, Veltar called, her form pulsing with authoritative light. We must approach this situation rationally. Defense Minister Crexon has prepared a full briefing on these humans' capabilities. The massive, armored form of Crexon rose from his seat, his 4 arms manipulating a holographic display that materialized in the center of the chamber. The image showed the human fleet formation that had intercepted Zethkar's vessels. Initial analysis suggests the humans possess technology that surpasses our own in several key areas. Crexon rumbled, his voice like grinding stone. Their ships show evidence of advanced metallurgy, exotic energy sources, and stealth capabilities that render our detection systems useless. How is this possible? Demanded Representative Zillick, her insectoid features twisted in disbelief. Our xenobiological models clearly demonstrate that high-stress environments inhibit cognitive development. Deathworld species should lack the mental capacity for advanced science. Dr. Mordun, the Council's chief xenobiologist, activated his console with nervous precision. Representatives, I must confess that our models may require significant revision. The data suggests that rather than inhibiting development, extreme environmental pressure may actually accelerate evolutionary advancement in certain species. Are you saying our fundamental understanding of intelligence development is wrong? The question came from the gaseous collective's spherical representative, whose form swirled with agitated patterns. Not wrong, Dr. Mordun replied carefully, but perhaps incomplete. Consider this. While most species develop intelligence to solve social and environmental puzzles in stable conditions, species from Deathworlds must constantly innovate to survive immediate, lethal threats. This may produce a fundamentally different type of intelligence, one optimized for rapid adaptation and creative problem-solving under extreme stress. Counselor Prime Veltar noted the growing unrest among the assembly. Several species were known for their pacifist nature, and the implications of a technologically advanced warrior race were clearly causing panic. What are their stated intentions? Asked the Harmonious Order's representative, their musical voice carrying undertones of concern. Defense Minister Crexon manipulated the display to show intercepted human communications. They claim to seek peaceful integration into the Council. Their diplomatic messages follow proper protocols and demonstrate extensive knowledge of our laws and customs. But, prompted Veltar, sensing hesitation in Crexon's tone. But, the defense minister continued, our analysis of their fleet positioning and technological capabilities suggests they are prepared for any outcome to these negotiations. Their ships are deployed in a formation that would allow them to strike key Council installations simultaneously across 17 systems. The chamber erupted again, this time in genuine alarm. The idea that an unknown species could threaten the entire Council infrastructure was beyond most representatives' comprehension. They intercepted our most secure communications for 2 centuries, added Intelligence Chief Kelnara, her tentacles writhing anxiously. They know our defensive capabilities, our resource distribution, our political divisions, and our technological limitations. Meanwhile, we know nothing about their true strength or capabilities beyond what they choose to show us. Surely you are not suggesting these primitives pose a legitimate threat to the Council? The patrician representative's tone dripped with condescension, but Veltar noticed even he seemed less certain than usual. Dr. Mordun cleared his throat nervously. Representatives, I have been reviewing historical data on Deathworld species evolution, and I have discovered some disturbing patterns. Species that survive on Class 12 Deathworlds develop certain characteristics that we may have gravely underestimated, such as, Veltar prompted, unprecedented adaptability, extreme resilience to physical and psychological stress, and, most significantly, what appears to be an instinctive understanding of warfare and tactical thinking, Dr. Mordun explained. On Earth, humans spent millions of years competing with predators that possessed superior physical capabilities. They survived by developing superior intelligence, cooperation, and what they call strategic thinking. You are describing a species bred for warfare, observed the predator caste representative, speaking for the first time. Coming from a species known for their own martial prowess, this acknowledgement carried significant weight. More than that, Dr. Mordun continued. Our preliminary analysis of human culture suggests they view conflict as a natural part of existence to be managed rather than avoided. They have concepts in their languages for acceptable losses and strategic sacrifice that most Council species find incomprehensible. The Harmonious Order's representative sang a discordant note of distress. You describe a species without empathy or moral restraint. No, Dr. Mordun corrected quickly. That is precisely what makes them so potentially dangerous. Humans appear to possess strong empathy and complex moral systems. However, these traits coexist with their ability to compartmentalize ethics during crisis situations. They can simultaneously care deeply about individual suffering while making calculated decisions that result in massive casualties if they believe it serves a greater good. Counselor Prime Veltar felt the weight of the decision before them. What are our options, Defense Minister? Crexon's display shifted to show various strategic scenarios. Military confrontation is inadvisable. Our models suggest that while we possess superior numbers, human technology and tactical thinking would likely result in catastrophic losses on both sides. Their ships are designed for combat in ways that ours simply are not. And diplomatic accommodation? Veltar asked. Unknown risks, admitted Intelligence Chief Kelnara. If we grant them membership, we legitimize their expansion into Council space and give them access to our technology and resources. If we refuse, we risk forcing a confrontation with a species that has been preparing for this moment for 2 centuries. There is another consideration, added Dr. Mordun quietly. Based on their expansion patterns and colonial development, humans appear to be actively terraforming worlds to suit their specific biological needs. They are not just seeking membership, they are seeking Lebensraum. The ancient term sent a chill through the assembly. Several species had historical memories of wars fought over living space. How much time do we have to make this decision? Veltar asked. The human fleet is holding position at the edge of the Gamma 7 system, Crexon reported. Their Admiral Chun has requested a formal audience within 7 standard days. She has indicated that delays will be interpreted as hostile intent. 7 days to decide the fate of the galaxy, muttered the Ethereal Collective's representative. There is one more thing, Intelligence Chief Kelnara added reluctantly. Our deep space monitoring stations have detected additional human activity throughout the Outer Rim. They appear to be activating previously hidden installations across multiple sectors. If this is their diplomatic fleet, we can only imagine what their military reserves look like. Counselor Prime Veltar looked around the chamber at the faces of beings representing 47 different species, each with their own concerns and priorities. The decision they made in the coming days would determine whether the galaxy entered a new age of cooperation or descended into a conflict that could destroy civilizations. We will reconvene tomorrow to hear from a special committee formed to analyze the human situation, she announced. I suggest all representatives consult with their home governments tonight. The age of human isolation is ending whether we wish it or not. The question we must answer is whether we will shape that future or be shaped by it. As the assembly dispersed, individual groups of representatives clustered together, their conversations filled with urgent whispers and concerned speculation. Through the chamber's great windows, the stars seemed different now, not distant points of light marking the boundaries of known space, but potential harbors for a species that had been watching and waiting in the darkness. The galaxy was about to discover what it truly meant to deal with a species that had spent millions of years learning that the universe was actively trying to kill them, and had not only survived but thrived in response to that challenge. Tomorrow would bring new discussions, but tonight, many representatives would lie awake wondering if they were about to witness the dawn of a new age or the beginning of the end for the galactic order they had known for millennia. Admiral Sarah Chun stood in the observation deck of the UEDF flagship Indomitable, watching the swirling nebula that surrounded Starbase Gamma 7. The massive council installation floated like a jeweled city among the cosmic clouds, its crystalline spires and organic curves representing the architectural preferences of dozens of different species. It was beautiful in its diversity, and Chun hoped it would soon welcome humanity as well. Admiral, called Captain Rodriguez from the communication station. We are receiving a transmission from the council delegation. They are requesting permission to send a small inspection team to review our vessels. Chun smiled grimly. The council was still thinking in terms of their own technological paradigms, assuming they could assess human capabilities through conventional observation. Grant permission for a standard diplomatic inspection of the outer hull and common areas only. Make sure our guests understand that certain sections remain classified for security purposes. Understood, Admiral. The council delegation will arrive in approximately 2 hours. Chun nodded and returned her attention to the tactical display floating beside her. The human fleet maintained its position in perfect formation, each ship exactly where it needed to be for either diplomatic protection or devastating attack. The versatility of human military doctrine was something the Council had yet to fully comprehend. Admiral Chun, came a new voice from behind her. She turned to see Dr. Elena Vasquez, the expedition's chief anthropologist and xenopsychologist. I have completed my analysis of the Council species' psychological profiles based on our intercepts of their emergency session. What is your assessment, Doctor? Dr. Vasquez activated her tablet, displaying a complex chart showing the various Council species arranged by psychological characteristics. The Council is currently experiencing what we might call cognitive dissonance on a galactic scale. Their entire worldview is built around the assumption that environmental stress inhibits advanced development. Our existence contradicts their fundamental understanding of evolution and intelligence. How are they likely to respond to this contradiction? That depends on which faction gains influence, Vasquez explained, highlighting different groups on her display. The pragmatic species like the predator caste and the industrial collective are likely to adapt quickly and seek accommodation. They understand power dynamics and will respect our capabilities. And the others? The philosophical species like the ethereal collective and the harmonious order are struggling with existential questions about the nature of intelligence and civilization. Some may see us as an aberration that threatens their understanding of natural law. Chun studied the profiles carefully. During humanity's 2 centuries of preparation, they had developed extensive psychological models of each Council species. But having confirmation from an expert was valuable. What about their leadership structure? Chun asked. Counselor Prime Veltar is pragmatic, but cautious, Vasquez replied. She will likely support accommodation if she can be convinced it serves the greater good. Defense Minister Crexon respects strength and will advocate for whatever option minimizes casualties. The wild card is Intelligence Chief Kelnara. She understands exactly how thoroughly we have outmaneuvered them, and that terrifies her. A chime indicated an incoming transmission. Captain Rodriguez announced, Admiral, we have a priority message from Earth Command. Chun moved to the secure communication terminal and activated the quantum encryption protocol. The image that appeared showed Fleet Admiral Harrison, humanity's highest-ranking military officer, speaking from his office in Luna Command. Sarah, Harrison began without preamble. The Security Council has reviewed your initial reports. The President has authorized you to proceed with formal negotiations, but with new parameters. What are the new orders, sir? Intelligence suggests that some Council species are considering a preemptive strike against our fleet while they still outnumber us in this sector, Harrison explained. If negotiations fail, you are authorized to implement Operation Revelation. Chun felt a chill run down her spine. Operation Revelation was humanity's contingency plan for demonstrating their true capabilities to the galaxy. It would be effective, but it would also fundamentally alter the balance of power in known space. Sir, are we certain that level of escalation is necessary? Sarah, our long-range scouts report that the Council is mobilizing fleets from 17 systems. They are bringing everything they have to this sector. Either they are planning a massive show of force to intimidate us, or they are preparing for war. Either way, we need to be ready to respond. The transmission ended, leaving Chun to contemplate the weight of the decision ahead. Humanity had spent centuries preparing for this moment, but preparation could only go so far when dealing with the unpredictable nature of first contact between radically different civilizations. Admiral, Dr. Vasquez said quietly, "May I ask what Operation Revelation entails?" Chun was silent for a moment, then turned to face the anthropologist. "Doctor, what do you know about human military history?" "Quite a bit, actually. It is rather extensive." "Then, you understand that humans have always possessed one significant advantage over their enemies: the willingness to escalate conflicts beyond what opponents consider rational or acceptable." Dr. Vasquez paled slightly. "Admiral, you are not suggesting." "I am not suggesting anything, Doctor. I am simply observing that when backed into a corner, humans have historically responded by changing the rules of the conflict entirely." Before Dr. Vasquez could respond, Captain Rodriguez called out urgently, "Admiral, long-range sensors are detecting massive hyperspace disturbances throughout the sector. Multiple fleets are entering the system." Shin moved quickly to the tactical display, watching as red icons began appearing across the star map. Ships were arriving from every direction, surrounding the human fleet with overwhelming numbers. "Analysis," Shin ordered. 17 Council fleets, approximately 800 vessels total, reported the tactical officer. They are taking positions around the system perimeter. No hostile actions detected, but they are clearly establishing a containment formation. Chen nodded grimly. The Council was making their own show of force, demonstrating that despite humanity's technological advantages, they still held the numerical superiority. It was a classic intimidation tactic, and, under normal circumstances, it might have been effective. "Open a channel to the Council flagship," Chen ordered. The main screen activated, showing Counselor Prime Veltar in what appeared to be a mobile command center. Behind her, representatives from multiple species worked frantically at various stations. "Admiral Chun," Veltar began, her crystalline form pulsing with nervous energy. "I hope you understand that the additional fleets are merely a precautionary measure. We wish to ensure that our negotiations proceed in an environment of mutual respect and security." "Of course, Counselor Prime," Chen replied diplomatically. "Though I must say, your definition of mutual is interesting. 800 ships to our 27. Your 27 ships have already demonstrated capabilities that concern many of our member species," Veltar explained. "We felt it necessary to ensure numerical parity." Chen smiled, and there was something in that expression that made several Council officers on the screen step backward. "Counselor Prime, I appreciate your position, but I think there may be a fundamental misunderstanding about the nature of this engagement." "What do you mean?" "You seem to believe that the 27 ships you detected represent the full extent of humanity's presence in this sector," Chen said calmly. "That is incorrect." Veltar's form flickered with alarm. "Are you saying you have additional vessels in the area?" "Captain Rodriguez," Chen called without taking her eyes off the screen, "please activate the stealth network." Across the sector, space began to shimmer as hundreds of previously invisible ships materialized. not just around the immediate area, but throughout the entire system. Human vessels appeared behind Council fleets, beside their flagships, and in formations that made it clear they had been there all along. Counselor Prime, Chin said as the Council bridge erupted in panicked activity behind Veltar. Allow me to introduce you to the 3rd Terran Expeditionary Fleet. All 1,500 ships of it. The silence that followed was profound. When Veltar finally spoke, her voice was barely a whisper. How long have you been in position? Our advance elements arrived 6 months ago, Chin replied matter-of-factly. We have been observing your fleet movements and defensive preparations with great interest. Your tactical doctrine is quite sophisticated, though somewhat predictable. This changes nothing, Veltar said, though her voice lacked conviction. We still outnumber your forces. Do you? Chin asked pleasantly. Captain Rodriguez, please show our guests the real-time tactical display. The transmission began, including feed from human sensors, revealing the true scope of the situation. Not only were human ships positioned throughout the system, but they had weapon locks on every Council vessel simultaneously. More disturbing, the display showed that several Council ships had human marines already aboard them. When Veltar whispered, "We have been practicing infiltration exercises on your vessels for the past week," Chin explained. Your security protocols are quite good, but they were designed to prevent conventional intrusion attempts. They do not account for beings who grew up hiding from creatures that could sense heartbeats from a kilometer away. Dr. Vasquez watched the proceedings with fascination and growing concern. This was humanity's diplomatic strategy, demonstrate overwhelming capability while maintaining the pretense of peaceful intentions. It was effective, but it was also profoundly intimidating to species that had never experienced warfare on humanity's scale. What do you want? Veltar asked, her political composure finally cracking. What we have always wanted, Chin replied. Recognition as equals, membership in the Council, and the opportunity to contribute to galactic civilization. The question is whether you are prepared to accept us as partners or whether you insist on viewing us as a threat. And if we cannot accept your demands? Chin's expression grew serious. Counselor Prime, humanity has spent 2 centuries learning about your species, your cultures, and your values. We know you are good people who want peace and prosperity for your civilizations. We share those goals. But we also know that sometimes, good people make decisions based on fear rather than wisdom. You are threatening us. No, Chin said firmly. We are demonstrating capability while expressing hope for cooperation. There is a difference. If we wish to threaten you, this conversation would be very different. As if to emphasize the point, the tactical display showed human weapons powering down across the fleet, though their targeting remained locked. We will give you time to consider our proposal, Chin continued. But, Counselor Prime, understand this. The galaxy has changed. Humanity is no longer a hypothetical problem for future generations to solve. We are here, we are capable, and we are not going away. The question now is whether we build the future together or separately. The transmission ended, leaving Chun alone with her thoughts and the weight of humanity's future resting on the decisions of the next few hours. Outside the observation deck, 2 civilizations stood on the brink of either unprecedented cooperation or devastating conflict. The next move belonged to the Council, but Chin knew that whatever they decided, humanity was ready for any outcome. In the depths of Starbase Gamma 7, emergency meetings continued through what most species considered their rest cycles. The Council chambers had been sealed for security, with only the highest-ranking officials permitted access to the ongoing discussions about humanity's demands. Counselor Prime Veltar stood before a 3-dimensional display showing the tactical situation throughout the sector. Human ships maintained their positions with mechanical precision, their weapons powered down but targeting systems still locked onto every Council vessel. The message was clear without being overtly threatening. Intelligence reports are confirmed, announced Chief Kelnara, her tentacles writhing with nervous energy. Human infiltration teams have been aboard 17 of our vessels for over 72 hours. They could have sabotaged our life support, weapons, or navigation systems at any time. But they did not, observed the Predator caste representative, his scarred features thoughtful. Among my people, such restraint demonstrates strength, not weakness. They show capability without malice. Defense Minister Crexon manipulated the tactical display, highlighting human ship formations. Their positioning is masterful. They can strike simultaneously across multiple systems, defend against counterattack from any direction, and maintain secure communication lines throughout the engagement zone. This is not the work of primitive warriors. This is advanced military science. Science built on the foundation of endless warfare, muttered the ethereal collective's representative, their translucent form flickering with agitation. How can we trust a species that views conflict as natural? Dr. Mordun cleared his throat nervously. Representatives, I have completed my analysis of human cultural transmissions intercepted during the quarantine period. I believe we may be misunderstanding their approach to conflict. Explain, Veltar requested. The xenobiologist activated his own display, showing various human historical records. Humans do indeed have extensive experience with warfare, but they have also developed sophisticated concepts of proportional response, rules of engagement, and post-conflict reconstruction. They appear to view violence as a tool to be used precisely rather than indiscriminately. You are describing controlled aggression, noted the Predator caste representative with what might have been approval. More than that, Dr. Mordun continued. Human military doctrine emphasizes what they call escalation dominance, the ability to control the level of conflict rather than simply winning battles. They seek to end conflicts quickly by demonstrating overwhelming capability, thereby minimizing actual casualties. Intelligence Chief Kelnara studied the data carefully. This would explain their current strategy. They are not trying to defeat us militarily. They are trying to convince us that military confrontation would be futile. And it would be, admitted Defense Minister Crexon reluctantly. Our models show that while we might achieve local victories, the overall cost would be devastating. Human ships are individually superior to ours. Their tactics are more sophisticated, and their technology allows them to strike at targets we consider secure. Veltar turned away from the display to address the assembled representatives. The question before us is not whether we can defeat humanity in battle. Clearly, we cannot. The question is whether we can coexist with them within the council structure. What are they actually asking for? Inquired the Harmonious Order's representative, their musical voice carrying notes of genuine curiosity. Dr. Mordun consulted his files. Full council membership, recognition of their colonial claims on 17 worlds, establishment of trade agreements, and access to council scientific databases. In exchange, they offer their own technological innovations, military protection for council space, and what they term cultural exchange opportunities. Military protection from whom? Asked the gaseous collective's spherical representative. Unknown, admitted Intelligence Chief Kelnara. But our analysis suggests humans may be aware of threats beyond our current knowledge. Their expansion patterns and fleet deployments indicate they are preparing for conflicts we have not anticipated. This revelation sent a ripple of concern through the assembly. The idea that humanity might possess intelligence about dangers unknown to the Council was deeply disturbing. There is another consideration, Dr. Mordun added quietly. Human reproductive rates and colonial expansion patterns suggest their population is growing rapidly. They will require additional living space within the next few decades. They are offering to work within Council law now, but if we refuse them, they may simply take what they need. Veltar felt the weight of the decision pressing upon her. Every option carried risks, but some risks were greater than others. What is the recommendation of the Security Committee? Defense Minister Crexon stood, his armored bulk imposing even among the diverse assembly. The Security Committee recommends accepting human membership under modified terms. We propose a probationary period during which human activities are monitored, followed by full membership if they demonstrate compatibility with Council values. The Cultural Assessment Committee disagrees, announced the Ethereal Collective's representative. We believe accepting a warrior species into the Council fundamentally alters our civilization's character. We risk losing what makes us civilized. With respect, interjected the Predator caste representative, civilization is not defined by the absence of strength, but by the wise use of it. These humans have shown restraint when they could have shown dominance. That suggests wisdom. Before the debate could continue, alarms began sounding throughout the station. Emergency lighting activated, and automated systems announced a priority alert. Report. Veltar demanded. Intelligence Chief Kelnara worked frantically at her console. Long-range sensors detect massive hyperspace disturbances approaching from the galactic rim. Unknown vessels. Configuration unlike anything in our databases. Estimated arrival in 6 hours. How many ships? Defense Minister Crexon asked grimly. Preliminary count suggests over 2,000 vessels, with some individual ships registering massive energy signatures. Whatever they are larger and more powerful than anything we have encountered. The assembly fell silent as the implications sank in. An unknown force larger than anything in Council space was approaching, and their timing coincided suspiciously with humanity's first contact. Could this be a human deception? Asked the gaseous collective representative. Negative, Kelnara replied. Energy signatures are completely different from human technology. These ships appear to use exotic matter for propulsion and weapons systems. Veltar made a quick decision. Open a channel to Admiral Chen immediately. The main display activated, showing Chen in what appeared to be a conference room aboard her flagship. Behind her, human officers worked at stations displaying tactical information that seemed far more detailed than anything the Council possessed. Counselor Prime, Chen said before Veltar could speak. Our sensors have detected the approaching fleet. We need to discuss this situation urgently. You know what these ships are? Veltar demanded. We call them the Devourers, Chen replied grimly. They are the reason humanity has spent 2 centuries preparing for this day. They consume planetary biospheres, strip worlds of resources, and eliminate all organic life in their path. We have been tracking their approach for decades. Why did you not warn us? Veltar asked in shock. We tried, Chen said simply. 17 attempts to contact the Council through official channels over the past century. All were ignored because we were classified as a pre-spaceflight species. Our warnings were dismissed as primitive superstitions. Dr. Mordun worked frantically at his console. Records confirm attempted communications from the Sol system over the past 96 years. All were classified as background noise and deleted without translation. How long have you known about this threat? Veltar demanded. Our deep space monitoring networks detected them 12 years ago, Chen explained. We have been accelerating our preparations since then. Our expansion into Council space, our military buildup, our technological development, everything has been focused on preparing for this invasion. And you believe you can defeat them? Chen's expression grew serious. Alone? No. But, together, with Council resources and our technology combined, we might have a chance. This is why we needed membership. Not for territorial expansion or political power, but because we need allies for the war that is coming. Defense Minister Crexon studied the tactical displays showing the approaching threat. What do you know about their capabilities? They use biological technology, living ships that can adapt to new weapon systems. Their vessels regenerate damage, learn from combat experiences, and coordinate through what appears to be a collective intelligence. Conventional weapons are minimally effective. How do you fight such things? Asked the Predator caste representative. Very carefully, Chen replied. And with weapons designed specifically to disrupt biological processes. We have spent decades developing countermeasures, but we needed access to Council scientific databases to complete our research. Veltar realized with growing horror that humanity's entire approach to first contact had been shaped by an external threat the Council knew nothing about. Every aggressive move, every technological demonstration, every strategic positioning had been preparation for a war that was now only hours away. What do you propose? She asked. Emergency Council membership for humanity, immediate integration of our fleets, and activation of what we call the Phoenix Protocol, Chen replied. We share all our anti-biological weapons technology with Council forces, and together we make our stand here. And if we refuse? Chen's expression grew cold. Then, humanity withdraws to defensible positions around our core colonies, and the Council faces the Devourers alone. Based on our analysis, you will be extinct within 18 months. The brutal calculus was clear. Accept humanity as partners in a desperate war, or face annihilation from an enemy they had never imagined. How long do we have to decide? Veltar asked. The Devourer fleet will arrive in 5 hours and 47 minutes, Chen replied. Our combined fleets need at least 4 hours to coordinate defensive positions and integrate weapon systems. That gives us approximately 1 hour to reach an agreement. Veltar looked around the assembly chamber at representatives who had entered the day believing they were dealing with a diplomatic curiosity and now found themselves facing the potential extinction of galactic civilization. All those in favor of emergency membership for humanity, she called. Every representative raised their hand or equivalent appendage. Some voted from fear, some from pragmatism, but all voted from the sudden understanding that their survival depended on accepting the very warriors they had feared. Welcome to the Galactic Council, Admiral Chun, Veltar said formally. Now please tell us how we are going to survive the next 24 hours. 4 hours later, the combined fleets of humanity and the Galactic Council faced the approaching Devourer Armada in what would later be called the Battle of Gamma 7. Admiral Chen stood in the Integrated Command Center aboard Starbase Gamma 7, surrounded by officers from dozens of different species working together for the first time in galactic history. Status report. Chen called as the final preparations were completed. Human Phoenix Protocol weapons are online and distributed throughout the fleet, reported Captain Rodriguez from his new position coordinating human forces. Council vessels have been equipped with biodisruption torpedoes and quantum detonation charges. Counselor Prime Veltar stood beside Chun, her crystalline form pulsing with nervous energy. Our combined fleet strength is 2,300 vessels. Intelligence reports suggest the Devourers have approximately 2,400 ships. Numbers are less important than tactics, Chen replied, studying the tactical display. The Devourers rely on overwhelming biological adaptation and regeneration. They will try to learn our weapons systems during the battle and develop countermeasures. Our advantage is that they have never encountered human military doctrine. Defense Minister Crexon approached the command station, his armor bearing new human-designed energy shields. Admiral, explain to me again why we are allowing them to approach so close to the station. Conventional wisdom suggests engaging them at maximum range. Chen smiled grimly. Minister, conventional wisdom assumes conventional enemies. The Devourers adapt to whatever they encounter. If we engage them at long range, they will have time to study our weapons and develop defenses. But humans learned long ago that the best way to defeat an adaptive enemy is to hit them with something they cannot adapt to fast enough, which is overwhelming violence applied with surgical precision in the shortest possible time frame, Chen explained. We are going to let them get close enough to believe they understand our capabilities, then demonstrate that their assumptions are fatally wrong. Dr. Vasquez, now serving as the combined fleet's xenopsychology advisor, monitored Devourer communications from her station. Admiral, their bioships are broadcasting complex chemical signals. My analysis suggests they are sharing sensory data about our fleet composition and defensive positions. Perfect, Chen replied, confusing several council officers. Let them think they understand what they are facing. Admiral, called the sensor operator, Devourer fleet is entering weapons range. They are beginning to form attack formations. On the main display, the approaching fleet resolved into individual ships that defied conventional understanding of spacecraft design. The vessels appeared to be living creatures, their hulls pulsing with organic rhythms, and their surfaces covered with what looked like scales or organic armor. Some ships resembled massive space-dwelling predators, while others appeared to be floating forests of crystalline growths. They are beautiful, whispered the ethereal collective's representative, their translucent form flickering with awe. They are death, Chen corrected flatly. Do not let their appearance deceive you. Each of those ships has consumed the life of at least one world. Incoming transmission from the Devourer fleet, reported the communications officer. Let us hear it, Chen ordered. The bridge filled with a sound unlike anything the council representatives had ever heard. A harmony of biological sounds that seemed to speak directly to some primal part of their minds. Underneath the alien beauty of the communication, however, was an unmistakable message of hunger and inevitability. Dr. Vasquez translated from her station. They are demanding our surrender and offering to preserve a small percentage of our population as breeding stock for future harvesting. Charming, Chen muttered. Open a response channel. The alien harmony continued for a moment before being replaced by Chen's voice, broadcast on all frequencies. Devourer Fleet. This is Admiral Chun of the United Earth Defense Force and the Galactic Council. We refuse your demands. This system is under our protection. The response was immediate, a wave of aggressive biological signals that needed no translation. The Devourer ships began accelerating toward the combined fleet, their organic hulls shifting and adapting as weapon systems emerged from what had appeared to be purely biological structures. All ships, Chun broadcast to the combined fleet, implement Protocol Omega. Remember, these creatures adapt to anything they survive. Do not give them the chance to survive. The battle erupted across three-dimensional space as nearly 5,000 ships engaged in the largest naval conflict in galactic history. Council vessels, designed for exploration and peaceful contact, found themselves alongside human warships built from the ground up for exactly this type of engagement. The initial exchange demonstrated the horrifying efficiency of Devourer technology. Bioweapons that devoured hull armor, living missiles that burrowed through ship hulls like parasites, and energy fields that disrupted both organic and artificial systems. Several Council ships were disabled within the first minutes of combat. But the Devourers had never faced human military tactics. Execute Phoenix Rising, Chun ordered. Across the battle space, human ships suddenly changed their behavior entirely. Instead of engaging in conventional fleet combat, they began implementing tactics derived from humanity's experience hunting apex predators on Earth. Ships moved in coordinated pack formations, using smaller vessels to herd Devourer ships into kill zones where heavier units waited with weapons specifically designed to disrupt biological systems. Biodisruption torpedoes are having significant effect, reported Captain Rodriguez. The Devourer ships cannot adapt to quantum-level cellular breakdown fast enough to develop immunity. They are trying to retreat, observed Defense Minister Crexon with satisfaction. No, Chin corrected. They are trying to regroup and analyze our weapons. Do not let them. All ships, implement Protocol Fenrir. The human fleet coordination suddenly shifted into something that amazed even their Council allies. Ships began operating as if controlled by a single mind, anticipating each other's movements and creating tactical situations that trapped Devourer vessels in crossfires they could not escape. Dr. Vasquez monitored the biological communications with growing excitement. Admiral, the Devourers are broadcasting distress signals. They are encountering something they cannot understand, tactical cooperation on a level their biology cannot replicate. Because they are predators, Chun explained, and predators are ultimately individualistic. They have never encountered a species that learned to hunt in truly coordinated groups. The tide of battle turned as human tactics combined with Council technology and numerical superiority. Devourer ships, designed to adapt to and overcome conventional weapons, found themselves facing enemies that refused to fight conventionally. Human vessels used ramming attacks, suicide runs, and tactical sacrifices that no biological intelligence could predict or counter. Devourer flagship is attempting to withdraw, reported the sensor operator. Negative, Chin replied coldly. All ships, target the command vessel. Do not allow their command structure to survive to learn from this engagement. The combined fleet converged on the massive biological ship at the center of the Devourer formation. The creature vessel was larger than any single ship in the Allied fleet, its surface covered with organic weapon systems and defensive measures that had evolved over millions of years. But it had never encountered human nuclear weapons specifically modified to disrupt biological processes at the quantum level. Phoenix Protocol warheads armed and ready, reported Rodriguez. Fire, Chin ordered. The warheads struck the Devourer flagship simultaneously, and the result was unlike anything seen in space combat before. Instead of conventional explosions, the weapons created cascading biological failures that spread throughout the massive organism like a plague designed by physics itself. The flagship convulsed, its organic hull rupturing as cellular structures collapsed at the molecular level. The death of the command vessel sent panic through the remaining Devourer fleet, their biological coordination systems failing as their guiding intelligence died. All remaining Devourer vessels are retreating. announced the sensor operator. They are breaking off engagement and heading for the galactic rim. The battle space fell silent except for the emergency broadcasts from damaged ships and the coordination chatter of rescue operations. The combined fleet had won, but the cost had been significant. Nearly 300 vessels had been destroyed or heavily damaged, with thousands of casualties among the crew. Counselor Prime Veltar approached Chun as the immediate crisis passed. Admiral, on behalf of the Galactic Council, I want to thank you for what humanity has done here today. Chun nodded grimly. The thanks are premature, Counselor Prime. This was just their scouting force. Scouting force? Veltar's form flickered with alarm. The main Devourer Hive fleet is still out there, Chun explained, bringing up long-range sensor data. What we faced today was perhaps 5% of their total military capability. They were testing our defenses and gathering information about our weapons and tactics. Then, we have gained nothing, asked Defense Minister Crexon. We have gained time, Chun replied. And we have gained each other. The Devourers now know that the galaxy is defended, but they also know that their conventional tactics will not work against human military doctrine. They will adapt and return, probably within 2 to 3 years. Dr. Vasquez looked up from her analysis station. Admiral, the biological signals from the retreating ships suggest they are transmitting detailed combat data back to the main hive. They are learning from this defeat. Good, Chun said, surprising everyone. Let them learn. By the time they return, we will have had 2 years to integrate human and council technologies, to train combined crews, and to develop new weapons specifically designed to counter whatever adaptations they make. You sound confident, observed Veltar. Chun looked out through the command center's viewports at the combined fleet beginning rescue and repair operations. Human ships worked alongside council vessels, their crews already beginning the integration process that would be necessary for the battles ahead. Counselor Prime, the galaxy just discovered something the Devourers are about to learn the hard way, Chun said. When you threaten something humans care about, they do not simply defend it. They go to war. And humans have been very, very good at war for a very long time. What happens now? Asked Dr. Vasquez. Chun smiled. And this time it was not the predatory expression that had intimidated council representatives. This time it was the smile of someone who had found worthy allies in an impossible fight. Now we build the greatest military alliance in galactic history, she said. We share our technologies, train our forces together, and prepare for a war that will determine whether organic life has a future in this galaxy. The Devourers have been the apex predators of space for millions of years. She paused, looking at the diverse group of beings working together in the command center. But they have never had to deal with humans before, and now they have to deal with humans who have friends. As Starbase Gamma 7 began coordinating the largest military buildup in galactic history, the surviving Devourer ships carried their reports back to the hive mind. For the first time in their existence, they had encountered prey that fought back with intelligence, coordination, and technology they could not immediately understand or counter. The galaxy had changed. The age of human isolation was over, and the age of the human alliance had begun. The Devourers would return, but when they did, they would face not just one Deathworld species, but an entire civilization that had learned to fight with human tactics, human technology, and human determination. The coming war would be unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. And, for the first time in cosmic history, the outcome was far from certain.